Acquiring a skill. A skill is being able to perform a number of actions with repeated success. Learning new skills lets you improve how to do things and involves using objects, tools, equipment, and machinery, as well as interacting with people. For example, using a blood pressure machine, helping someone stand up from a wheelchair, recording a formal child observation, or making a sandwich are all different sorts of skills. To perform a skill competently, you need to use the correct techniques, in the correct sequence, to the correct standard, and using the correct materials. You need to understand why things are done a certain way. For example, to get a better result, for safety reasons, or to minimise waste and cost. You also need to know how to fix mistakes along the way or adapt to changing circumstances. Practice enables you to learn the skill. Repeated practice lets you perform the tasks with ease and confidence to the skill required in a timely and safe way. Your practice will be in training room type, demonstration type role play situations, things like in a first aid course where you practice performing CPR on dummies, you practice bandaging on each other, those sorts of things, or for example in a coffee making course where you're practicing the techniques that you've been learning about to make a coffee. And then of course practice also occurs in the work placement parts of your course, of many courses. In some courses, for example childcare, practice in the workplace is really one of the only real ways in which to practice. I don't know of any colleges or registered training organisations who are able to provide children in the training room for you to practice on. Now, if we look at the example of making a sandwich, I've picked this as something that everybody knows how to do. Part of it is identifying the equipment that you need. So we'd need a breadboard, a knife, a serving plate, and whatever ingredients you're using to make your sandwich. Then you have knowledge of the steps involved. Washing hands, arranging ingredients and equipment, laying 2 slices of bread on the board, spreading, for example, with butter or any other spreads, arranging your filling on 1 slice of the buttered bread, placing the other slice buttered down on top, using the large knife, slicing through the entire sandwich. For example, you might be shown a certain standard that's used in a particular workplace, such as diagonally or cutting into 4 quarters like the triangle sandwiches and arranged onto the plate. Finally, moving the sandwich onto the serving plate. So for different workplaces, that simple example that we all know how to do and do in our own homes, the simple process might have different standards in different workplaces. I've thought about it in a home situation and said wash hands. Of course, if you were doing it in a food handling workplace type situation, you'd be wearing gloves as well. So we're going to take this type of example of breaking down a skill that you know and thinking about it, identifying the equipment and breaking down the exact steps that you follow when doing the next exercise, which is linked through the course material on the website. And it will tell you there what exercise and page that's on. Activity 2.1, learning a skill. You're going to choose any task you can do well. Identify the equipment you need. Think of the steps